Hello guys and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the all-class Jack of all trades build. So this is the build that we're going to be using to get the Jack of all trades achievement, but I want to get it on Tactician, so it had to be something meaningful and useful. So let's start. At level 1, you want to get a fighter level. You want to do that so that you can get the defense fighting style and proficiency with heavy armor and all weapons. You're not going to be using weapons for this build. You get outscaled very easily with the lack of extra attacks. So in the next 7 levels, we're going to be getting spellcasting classes. Please note that with the way the multi-classing works in Baldur's Gate 3, we're actually going to be able to be a level 6 spellcaster at level 8. Because the Paladin class, when you take it after you take a first level in another spellcasting class, it counts as a full spellcasting level. No need to stress about that. So at the second level, we're going to be going Storm Sorcerer. There's a debate there to have with the Draconic Sorcerer. It just feels that the bonus action fly to reposition yourself, especially when you don't have a lot of spell slots, is very important. Then at level 3, we're going to be going Light Cleric. You could go Light Cleric and go the tankier build and be in the face of battle. However, I feel like the life bonus healing will actually impact the game a lot more. At level 4, we're going to be going Wizard, which will allow us to get the Find Familiar spell, and we're gonna be able to start learning scrolls at this point. Level 5 we get the Eldritch Blast cantrip, because at level 5 and at level 11 the cantrip damage increases. And then we're also going to be getting the Hex spell. At level 6 we're going to be getting a level in Bard. We're not going to be getting much out of that. Maybe the Healing Word as with a charisma based spellcasting class. So that's going to allow us to do more healing because we're dumping wisdom in this build. And on level 7, you're going to be getting Druid. Again, you could just speak with animals here. There's nothing really important that you want to get out of this. On level 8, you're going to be getting Paladin level, which is going to give you a really cool oath feature. Other than that, you don't really need much more out of it. And then you have 4 levels to choose from. I would pick Barbarian if you want more HP and Rage, Rogue if you want expertise in some of your skills, Ranger to get either cold, poison or fire resistance, and I would leave Monk last. Also, let's talk about the endgame plan. So at level 5 and level 11, your Eldritch Blast damage increases. You're going to be casting bonus action Hex, and then you're going to be spamming Eldritch Blasts, and that's going to be a very reliable way of doing damage. Also, since we're going to be going Old One Warlock, if you crit in one out of those 3 Eldritch Blasts, which should be happening quite often since you're doing 3 attack rolls every turn, you're going to be fearing the enemy, so they will have disadvantage on their attacks on your allies, which is very strong. It also has some utility to it. Then, as a wizard, because you have 1 level in wizard, this is maybe it's a bug, maybe it's an exploit, but it allows you to learn spells up to the spell slot that you have. These are the spells that we know. However, we have spell slots that are higher level than that. And that allows us to learn spells level 2. So, by the end of this build, when we're going to have 3rd level spell slots, we can learn spells that are 3rd levels. I've tested it, here it goes, it works. You learn it and then you can prepare it. So, yes, you're going to be 1 level in every class, but you will be able to learn high-level wizard spells. This is why we're going to be having at least 16 intelligence. And then there's also another combo we can be doing. This is an item combo. I go through it down the line, and you can see it on screen. But essentially, you combo the Ancients and Life Cleric with the gauntlets that you get from Zevlor, which are the Bless Ring and the temporary HP boots. And then you can also put on the helmet that heals you. So essentially you use your bonus action and you give AoE Blade Ward to your party for 2 turns and Bless and temporary HP points. So that's very strong. So this is the build. Let's just step by step through it. 2 things you should note out is that you cannot go for the Band of Intellect build. As you will see down the line, there is some sort of bug where the first level you get in Wizard, it actually bases it off your current intelligence, how many spells you can prepare. So if you have 8 intelligence, you're only going to be able to prepare 1 spell. Doesn't matter how many you will know. So I would recommend having 16 intelligence, or even having 18 intelligence by doing +2 here, taking it to 15 and getting 1 point from anti-ethel, because that will allow you to have 5 spells prepared, and it could make the difference in how you want to play the battles. Yeah, so, and also do not start with a Paladin. This Paladin level, if you try to multiclass with a Paladin level 1, it breaks the spell slot system. I don't know why, maybe Larian hard-coded something. I figured it out last night on the live stream. Feel free to check that out if you want to. But yeah, let's get to it. Also, if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really, really helps. Thank you. And yeah, let's go straight to the build. So for stats, we go for 12 dexterity, 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, and 16 charisma. Alternatively, if you want, you can go for 14 dexterity if that's something you prefer. Yeah, and we'll hope to find a wisdom boosting item down the line. So for classes, we want to be starting as a fighter. Since you get constitution, saving throw proficiencies, and you also get the defense fighting style, you get proficiency with all armor and all weapons. For skills, it's really up to you what you want to do. I would definitely put some points in persuasion, deception maybe. At level 2, you want to take a level in Sorcerer. So why do we take a level in Sorcerer? We want to pick something you have high ability scores on. So for level 2, I would pick Sorcerer, and I would pick the damage cantrips. Don't pick any utility cantrip with Sorcerer. I would definitely pick Shocking Grasp and Bone Chill and Firebolt, Ray of Frost. You could even go for the Acid Splash cantrip. And yeah, you're good with that. Then I would pick Chromatic Orb, Magic Missiles. Well, you don't have to pick Magic Missiles. Maybe even Thunder Wave would be good. Essentially, you want to get the spells that you're not going to be able to get easily. So even Ice Knife is a good option. You're not going to be able to find scrolls easily. So even Ice Knife would be an option here. I haven't seen many scrolls for it. Could be Ice Knife Shield, for example. Subclass, there's a debate to be had about which Sorcerer subclass is the best. You could either go Draconic and get the bonus HP armor class and the extra spell. However, if you go for Storm Sorcery, you get the bonus action Flight after you cast a spell, which allows you to reposition yourself on the battlefield. And that's a lot stronger, especially since we're going to be spell slot deprived. Cleric, you already have these proficiencies. What the Cleric does, it will give you some really strong spells like Bless and Healing Word. You can get Warding Flare and cast it as a free reaction. Or you can get 2 proficiencies and expertise because, where is it? A knowledge domain, adaptable in all manners of skills, your mind, intellectual, yeah. So, knowledge will give you expertise with 2 skills. But you have to be proficient in the skill to get expertise on it. So make sure you pick it at the right time if you want to do that. So my personal favorite between all of them is the Life Domain. The reason why I like this is because of this feature right here, Disciple of Life. It will allow you to have additional healing on your allies. And even the little bit of points that you get here might actually make a big difference. Light Domain, which gives you Warding Flare, is also okay, it's also good, but it only can be used on yourself. There's an unlimited use for them, by the way. So it's actually a good way to conserve your resources. However, Shield is a much better reaction than Warding Flare. Warding Flare will give you on average about 3.3 armor class, where Shield gives you a flat 5. And Shield gives you 5 armor class for an entire turn, where Warding Flare is just for 1 attack. So I would go for Life Cleric. I wouldn't be considering it. And I would choose, yeah, Guidance, Thaumaturgy even maybe, Sacred Flame, and yeah, Guidance. Maybe even Resistance. You could, depend. You don't really need Sacred Flame. I would just try to collect all the cantrips. The god doesn't really make much of a difference, so yeah, you can't pick Shadow. For spells, okay, for spells you can prepare whichever spell you want. However, I would always have Create Water ready. And let me show you why. This is what a Storm Sorcerer can do when your Cleric casts Wet on the enemy. So that's just a first level spell. You make the enemy wet. This could be you. This could be your character. And then you could pick your Shadowheart and make her a Storm Sorcerer. And do this. Twint. I'll link the link to this build, by the way. So you could be a support character for your allies. You don't have to do all the damage yourself. But yes, if this could be your Shadowheart right now. 128 times 2. The wizard level, let me see, I would definitely pick all the cantrips you don't already have. Yeah. Even minor illusion is also very strong because it can be used to make your enemies gather at one place. So minor illusion is quite strong. So yeah, Bone Chin is good for allies that can regenerate, so it's a very strong and reliable way to prevent healing on enemies. Again, for spells, you should be picking Find Familiar, Shield. Pick the spells that are hard to come by. We don't really care about Mage Armor. Thunder Wave is good, but you can find scrolls easily. At this point in the game, but as you can see, our spell slots are not suffering. Yeah, we're a level behind because we started as a fighter, but that's okay, that's acceptable. For level 5, I would pick Warlock. The reason I want to pick Warlock on level 5 is that I get the Eldritch Blast. It's about time we get the spell. It's the strongest cantrip in the game, and we are gonna be using it a lot when we want to be fighting. So pick friends here. For subclasses, you could consider the Dark One, I guess. The Great Old One. Whenever you land a critical hit against a creature, that creature and nearby enemies must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw or become frightened. So it doesn't say that it has to be a critical hit in melee. So if you're gonna be throwing 3 blasts, this is probably the best one, the best option. The reason it's the best option is that you're gonna be fearing your enemies, and essentially they're gonna have disadvantage on attacks on your allies, which is gonna be very strong. And for spells, definitely pick Hex, and I would consider Armor of Agathis for the extra tankiness. Hellish Rebuke is a very good way to do reliable damage as a reaction, so I might even consider that. Dissonant Whispers is a cool spell, but it's not amazing. Charm Person is an RP spell. You could use it if you need somebody to charm. And Armor of Agathis, yeah. So it would be either Hellish Rebuke or Armor of Agathis, but definitely Hex. So the plan at level 5 is to be casting with your bonus action, Hex. Oh my god, let's not do it on the Albert Cup. And then with your action, you are gonna be casting. So it's not bad damage, as you can see. We just dealt damage with this class. Okay, so the plan down the line is to gather all the spellcasting classes. So after we're done with level 5, sorry, I've only been up to level 5 in early access, I've been taking my time. I would pick Bard, then Druid, and then Paladin, not Ranger. So once you pick Paladin, you're actually gonna be well, from, I think we were a level 3 caster, we're gonna be a level 6 caster because of how multi-classing works in this game. So just make sure you don't pick Paladin as a first level, guys. This is really important. There's a bug on it. So you're gonna pick up to Warlock. So we start Fighter. Then you go Sorcerer, Cleric, Wizard, Warlock. Then I would go Bard to get the Bardic Inspiration and some additional, well, just at this point, getting Bardic Inspiration and Healing Word, actually. Healing Word is a good spell to get with your Charisma, because if you dump your Wisdom, then you need this. Use Healing Word to heal your allies, and that's gonna be good if you have a high Charisma, which we will have. These stats are not representative of what we're gonna be doing. So you will have a high Charisma, so whenever you use Healing Word, you're actually gonna be healing for more than necessary. And then I would also pick Cure Wounds, maybe Tasha's Hideous Laughter for CC, for crowd control, or Command if there's an option. No, it's not an option. Featherfall or Speak with Animals, so that you can also fulfill your roleplay abilities here. Or Fairy Fire. Fairy Fire is a very reliable way to give your allies advantage, and it's a deck save. Yes, it's easier to save against, but it's very strong. Starting instrument, yeah, it's up to you. Cleric, I would pick Vicious Mockery because it's the only class you can get it in. You already have Minor Illusion, supposedly. Maybe Blade Ward would be a good option here, so that you can use your action to defend yourself at some point. You already have the other ones. At this point, we would be level 6 with Bard, and then I would pick a level in Druid. So the Druid level is not going to do much for you. It's going to give you Produce Flame or Shillelagh, and yeah, basically I'm just collecting cantrips at this point. The spells you would take here could be, again, Create or Destroy Water, but it's a good way to give your enemies vulnerability to cold or lightning damage, and to your allies resistance to fire. So I don't ever see a reason not having Create or Destroy Water. There's Entangle, Ice Knife. It's really up to you at this point. These spells are not that important. Then after that, no, we want to be taking the final spellcasting class. So the way spellcasting works in BG3, Paladin and Ranger, if you take them after you've taken a level in if you take one level of Paladin or Ranger, if you take one on each, it doesn't work. But if you're a 4-level Druid and you pick one level in Ranger, you actually count as a level 5 spellcaster instead of a level 4. So it's a little bit different than actual multi-classing rules. I won't get much into detail here, but I would pick Paladin, and I would go Oath of the Ancients to get the Healing Radiance. However, if you want to get the Holy Rebuke as an action, this is a horrible spell to have. And Inquisitor's Might, you or an ally weapon deal an additional 1 radiant damage and can daze enemies for 1 turn. I'm guessing this scales with Charisma, right? So I would go for Healing Radiance, Oath of the Ancients, Healing Radiance. The reason is that, let me show you why. So, Healing Radiance is a very strong spell to do AoE healing for your party throughout over the turn. So you do this, and then it happens again at the start of the next turn. And you don't even need to use an action for it. Why is this strong? Okay, now consider this predicament. This is an itemization build, though. You get the gloves from Zevlor. You put on the Boots of Aid and Comfort. You can get this from Zevlor, this from the Goblin Camp. Then you also wear, let me see, no Talisman actually, great friend, but this Amulet of Restoration is a good way to do to combo with this. Then you get this ring. I don't remember where you get this. If you can't find it, you can always Google it, or I'll just comment below if you really need some help, and I'll figure it out. Yep. And now imagine the combo, right? You do healing as an AoE, and when you heal your allies, they... Okay, I would also put on this helmet right here. When healing another creature, you heal yourself. This is what I have on my life cleric, Shadowheart, by the way. This is my combo so far. So, whenever you do AoE heal, you give your allies resistance. So basically, you give them free rage, you give them blade ward, you give them resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. You give them temporary hit points, and you give them bonus to attack rolls and saving throws for 2 turns. And you heal yourself even more. So let's go closer to Lae'zel that we heard earlier. So right now she has 2 turns of blade ward and 2 turns of bless and temporary hit points, and she got some healing, and I got some healing, and everybody around me got some healing and temporary HP. So very strong combination, and you can do that twice for free. So you're basically giving free rage to all your party when you do this combo. Yeah, so this is why I would pick Paladin at level 8. Then the remaining order. We have the Ranger, Monk, and Rogue, right? Left. The Rogue will give you sneak attack, but it will also give you some skill proficiencies. I might consider the Rogue at this point. Expertise. It gives you expertise with 2 abilities. Very, very, very strong. I would go with Rogue at this point. Monks don't really give you anything at this point. You could do the bonus action Flurry of Blows, but you're going to be using it to cast Healing Word on our allies to give them that bonus Blade Ward. And then I would leave Ranger last, unless... the only reason I would go Ranger earlier is if I needed the resistance, one of these 3 resistances. Cold, Fire, or Poison. Ranger Knight doesn't give you anything. Protection from evil and good you already have as a wizard, as a cleric, so you don't really need it. And yeah, you can also get some skill proficiencies, I guess, which is not bad. So I guess you could take Ranger before you go Monk. So we leave Monk last. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a build, guys. So for the spells, for the wizard spells, you're gonna have access to a lot of spells if you actually do this properly. So Animate Dead is an alright spell. You're gonna be able to have up to level 3 spells. So 2 level 3 spell slots is what I presume you're gonna have, and that means that you can cast Fireball twice per day. It's not amazing if you consider the circumstances, right? Fireball in Tactician is not the strongest spell you could ever have, but it's strong enough to keep the character relevant. Then you could pick Counterspell, which you're not going to be able to cast a lot of times per day. Stokers, maybe. Animate Death, you could make some zombies and have them follow you around for the rest of the day. Then Fear can be good as well. I really like Haste, and Glyph of Warding is actually very cool. There's a lot of cool uses for it. Hypnotic Pattern is also very, 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 very strong, especially since you're going to have high intelligence. You can just take out of commission some of the enemies and then come back to finish them later. Lightning Bolt is very good for DPS, just like Fireball, and if you make the enemies wet, it does double damage, so it can do up to 100 damage. Protection from energy is good if you want to plan ahead for a fight, even though probably that's not how you want to be using your spell slots, because you don't have a lot. Slow is also very strong. So those are the 3rd level spell slots. Now for second level spell slots, you could pick Melstacid Arrow and just drop an enemy's armor class by 2, so your ally is going to be able to lay on them. You could do Ray of Enfeeblement for buff and support, Hold Person and upcast it to help your team, Invisibility. There's going to be a lot of options for you to be useful. Also get Define Familiar. You're going to be needing all the help you can get in combat. Now, you also have some... Well, yeah, these spells are also in the list, so just don't forget that. Shield, very strong to keep up your defensive capabilities. Grease, yeah. And Magic Missile, always good. Always good to have Magic Missile. So if you play this right, you're going to be able to have access to all of these spells, but you're only going to be able to prepare, what, 5 of them? So you're going to have to be thinking ahead about what you're going to be doing. So that's all about the wizard spells. However, this is not something to be underestimated. I think this just a third level, some third level spells combined with some good items can carry the encounters. Okay, guys, so this is the build. Thank you for watching. I had a blast going through it. Please let me know what you think in the comments below and subscribe to help the channel and get more of this amazing content. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.